And now here's a story for my favourite little boy, my grandson Dylan. There was a time, long ago, when rabbits had short little ears just like mine, and a long, long, beautiful, soft, bushy tail. Oh, and Rabbit, he loved his tail. He thought his tail was the most beautiful tail in the forest. No, the most beautiful tail in the world. And he thought he was the most handsome animal in the world. And that all the other animals were ugly. And he would walk through the forest and he would say, "Oh, look at me, look at me. Aren't I handsome? Aren't I the most handsome creature you've ever seen? Isn't my tail beautiful? Isn't it soft? Isn't it? Do you want to stroke my tail? Oh, it's such a lovely tail, isn't it?" And he would insult the other animals. When he saw the rat, he said, "Oh, rat, rat, do you call that a tail? Well, that just looks like someone stuck a piece of string to your bottom. Oh, that's ugly." And when he saw the hedgehog, he said, "Hedgehog, oh, did somebody cut your tail off? Oh, that's not a real tail, is it? Look at my tail. Look how beautiful my tail is. Look how soft my tail is. Oh, look how lovely my tail is." Day after day, week after week, and month after month, year after year, the rabbit insulted all the other animals until they got fed up. And they went to see the cleverest, the most cunning animal in the forest, and that was Mr. Fox. And they said, "Fox, Fox, that rabbit, he's so mean to us. He's always telling us we're ugly and he's handsome. He's always insulting our tails. Do you think you could play a trick on him?" And the fox said, "Leave it with me. I will sort something out." And the fox, he thought about it all day, and he thought about it all night. And in the morning, he hadn't come up with a plan. So he walked down to the pond and he caught a great, big, fat, juicy fish. And he was just eating his fish when Rabbit came hopping along. "What you got there, Fox?" "It's a fish." "A fish nice to eat?" "Oh yes, fish are the nicest things in the world to eat." "Can I have some?" asked the rabbit. And that's when Fox had his idea. He said, "No, go and catch your own." "I don't know how to catch fish," said the rabbit. And the fox smiled and said, "It's easy. All you have to do, go down to the pond, sit on the edge, dip your tail in the water, and a fish will come swimming along. Bite your tail, and as soon as he bites you, flick your tail out, and there on the bank you'll have a big fat fish. Look at the big juicy fish I caught with my tail. With your tail, with your beautiful tail, you're sure to catch a better one." "Of course," said the rabbit. "With my tail I'll catch the biggest fish in the pond." And so he went down and he dangled his tail into the water, and he sat and he waited. But you know what it's like when you're fishing. Sometimes you don't catch a fish straight away. And Rabbit, he sat there all through breakfast time. When lunchtime came, he was still sat there. He was sat there at tea time. And as it began to get dark and supper time came, Rabbit was still sat there with his tail in the water. And he began to get tired and soon he was fast asleep. And the night got colder and colder. A terribly cold January night it was. And while the rabbit slept with his tail in the water, out of the forest came a tall, slender, thin, skinny man whose white hair stood up in points. He had a long, pointy nose, slender white fingers. Everywhere he walked, the grass turned white. He was hanging icicles off the tree branches, and his name was Jack Frost. He walked all the way to the pond, and he saw the rabbit with his tail in the water, and he smiled a thin, cold smile, and he dipped his finger into the water. No sooner had he done so than the water began to turn to ice. All the way across the pond the water turned to ice until it came to the rabbit's tail, and then it closed around the rabbit's tail and got thicker and thicker and thicker, and the rabbit's tail was trapped in the ice. But the rabbit slept on till morning. And when he woke with the first rays of light, he tried to get up, but he was stuck. Oh no, help, help, he called. And along came Fox. Have you caught a fish, Rabbit? No, my tail is stuck in the ice. Help me, pull me out. So the fox grabbed hold of the rabbit's ears and he began to pull. Oh! Ow! Oh! It's no good, said Fox. I'm just not strong enough. I'll have to get help. And so he rounded up all the other animals in the forest, and they all formed a long line, and they held each other tight, and Fox at the front grabbed hold of the rabbit's ears, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, they all began to pull. Oh! Ow! And as they pulled, the rabbit's ears got longer and longer and longer and longer. Oh! Until up he popped. Oh, thank you, said the rabbit. Thank you for helping. I'll just. He looked round, and he didn't have his beautiful bushy tail anymore. All that was left was a little white bob. And he looked into the pond and the ice, and there, stuck in the ice, was his beautiful, lovely, soft tail. And he looked, oh, my tail, oh, my tail. Then he saw his reflection, and he saw those long ears. Oh, my ears, my tail, my tail, my ears, oh. And Rabbit was so embarrassed that he ran away from that pond. He ran as fast as he could from the forest, across fields, until he came to a big grassy hill, and halfway up the hill he began to dig, he began to burrow deeper and deeper under the hill. And that is where Rabbit has lived from that day to this. Under the earth, only coming out when he thinks other animals won't see him, because he's still embarrassed about his silly long ears and his daft little tail.